Welcome back to Network Africa. The Regional Energy Cooperation Summit, organized by EnergyNet Limited London, is currently ongoing in Abidjan in the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. The summit is an annual investors meeting focused on energy, infrastructure, and the financing of energy projects. Our channel's business news editor, Bosun Omofai, is also attending this summit, and he joins us live on the program. Thanks for joining us on Network Africa, Bosun.
Good evening, thank you.
So what more can you tell us about the Energy Summit, and what were some of the issues discussed at today's meeting?
Well, of course, it's a lot of delegates from across the West African region, of course, then investors, institutional investors like the Africa Finance Corporation, the AFDB, even with its own headquarters here in Abidjan, were part of the presentations, and of course ministers and head of energy from the ECOWAS headquarters itself. So it's quite really big here, discussing funding issues, infrastructure deficit, bankable projects, what are the challenges and opportunities within the West African region, and of course the renewed Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline that is being discussed.
Now, last year's summit was held in Ghana, and it was on Powering Africa. How much success would you say has been achieved in implementing last year's recommendations?
Well, a bit of progress has been made. You know, these are always ongoing. These are billions and billions of dollars in financing that would have to be found. As you know, global economy is a little bit shaky, so investors are looking for projects that are bankable. The African Development Bank, for example, is ramping up what its investments in Africa is all about, increasing its stake on the African continent. It's also the OPIC, which is the Overseas Private Investment Corporation of the United States. I just spoke with the managing director of that institution here in Abidjan. She told me in that interview that they are increasing the level of investment in Africa, about $5 billion right now. They're ramping that up, even though there's a new administration in Washington, and they're looking to increase in the stake in the energy, looking at the lack of sustainability and availability of energy in West Africa, like many other parts of the continent, and doing so much already in South Africa. They're looking at doing much more in West Africa moving forward. So these are big projects, multi-billion dollars. A number of deals will be done here. One of it will be signed on tomorrow, and we'll have an interview with the organizations involved here with the Ivory Coast government, and that will be part of what we're looking at.
Now, Bosun, talking about the Morocco-Nigeria gas pipeline deal that was signed last year, how successful has that project been?
Now, this was a project that started some years ago. It was buried, then it has been reactivated. I've spoken to one or two people from here who doesn't want to get named, but they are very surprised that Nigeria is thinking of getting gas from the south and pushing it all the way via a pipeline to Morocco. These are thousands and thousands of kilometers. Why don't we do it another way? Is this a project that will see the light of day? Is this just an elephant project, for example? It's a very long distance. How do you transport gas all the way from Nigeria's Niger Delta with a stop in Benin, around Benin City in Edo State, and you move it all the way to Morocco? That looks like a very big thing, and it has to be sorted out. Again, apart from memorandum of understanding that's been signed between the Nigerian government and the Moroccan government, there hasn't been any latest as far as this is concerned. So we're trying to ask around here, how feasible is this project between Nigeria and Morocco with the MOU on the table? Is it feasible? How much will it cost? Who's going to fund it? How many years is it going to take? Is it really bankable? And that's a big question. Is this a bankable project for Nigeria, between Nigeria and Morocco? Is there another way in which we can freeze the gas, use the train via the ship to take it all the way to Morocco and defreeze this gas? That's what one expert tells me here. Why is Nigeria involving in this project and trying to use a pipeline that is subject to a number of challenges and problems along the way? That's one project we're looking at moving forward.
Now, Bosun, Côte d'Ivoire is hosting this year. Is there any chance that Nigeria might be hosting next year's summit?
Well, I'm not sure I hear that very, very clearly, but I heard Nigeria there. So
I'm asking if Nigeria is going to be hosting next year's summit.
Oh, hosting the summit. Well, that's a very important question. There is no Nigerian government officially here at this event. Of course, there is an official of the Energy Commission of Nigeria and NBET, which is the bulk trader for Nigeria's power sector, and one official of the from the Marketing and Sales Department of NERC, which is Nigeria's electricity regulatory body here. But as far as the ministerial, the cabinet is concerned, Nigeria is not represented here in this conference, and that is very curious to a number of people who understand that Nigeria has a population, has a demography, has a market, has an industry, has what it takes. But in an official capacity, Nigeria is not just here in Abidjan for this conference, and that's very curious to a number of people. Hosting it in Nigeria, well, I'm not too sure when that will happen. I think the organizers will look into that if that will happen. But of course, there's a Power in Africa Nigeria that was hosted, I guess, October last year in Abuja, which is Nigeria specific. But as far as the region is concerned, as far as being part of the entire regional cooperation, energy integration process, Nigeria is not here at this very particular summit.
Well, our channel's business editor, Bosio Mofaye, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
My pleasure.
Nearly 75,000 people of Chadian descent have fled violence in the Central African Republic to Chad. Many of them lost all their vital identity papers and risk becoming stateless. Now, without the right documentation, they cannot move freely or work legally. As a result of this, the UNHCR and partners are working with local authorities to assist them get the official documents that they need.
Samira Hassan is lucky to be alive. 2 years ago, an armed militia attacked her village in the Central African Republic. She and her children survived. The rest of her family did not.
My home was set on fire. My mother died in the house, and my brother sought refuge in the mosque. The militia went after the people in the mosque and killed them.
Hassan is amongst the nearly 75,000 people who fled violence in the CAR into neighboring Chad when conflict broke out in 2013. Samira's parents are from Chad, but moved to CAR for work. She was born and raised in the CAR, but was never granted citizenship. At the same time, papers that could prove her parents were Chadian, and that therefore, under the country's nationality law, she too had acquired Chadian nationality at birth, were left in her burnt-out home. So when she and others in her situation fleeing the conflict in the CAR reached Chad, they had no way to prove who they were or that they were entitled to citizenship of the country that now sheltered them in refugee camps around the town of Gore. Under a new program to support returnees and prevent statelessness, Samira is now one of more than 6,000 returnees who have undergone biometric registration and nationality verification.
If you have papers, you can move around freely, but if you don't, you cannot travel. Thank God we have found the documents we need.
So far, however, fewer than half of the returnees to Chad have been enrolled in the program, which is funded by the European Union and run by the UNHCR.
And that's it on Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Temitope Fagbemi.